very interesting conversation I've been having with Caleb, Honorable Caleb, rather, during the break and before we came on air. And he has a very interesting proposal. He is my guest tonight. And when we sit down, you know, it's time for the conversation. And that time is now. But before we begin the conversation, it will be very polite to clarify that one of our other guests was supposed to be Didmas Barasa, who's the Member of Parliament, Kimilili constituency. Now, he bailed out on us the last minute, citing personal differences with Caleb, and that's something that we'll pick up towards the end of the show. But right now, we want to welcome our guest onto the show. Sorry, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. I hope the guest will forgive my dry cough. It's because of the, I have a problem when it comes to unfavorable climate conditions.
Well,
I develop a dry cough.
July is almost over. Yes. August is here, so good times lie ahead.
Yeah, and I also want to apologize. I was almost getting late because I just came from my friend's Peter Kenneth's mom's burial, where we were with Honorable Raila Odinga, Deputy President, and our President Uhuru Kenyatta. So I thank God because I was able to maneuver through the jam and here on time. You're here.
Well, yes. We could as well have this conversation. Before the break, we were having a conversation about unemployment in Kenya. And this is our conversation tonight. Yeah. It's no longer stories we hear on the magazine. We all know somebody who does not have a job, or maybe that person could be us or someone close to us, right? Yeah. And you have a very interesting proposal. You're saying for every unemployed youth, let's have a hardship allowance. Talk to us more briefly about your proposal.
Yeah, just before I go for my proposal, from the onset of this interview, you started by saying one of our guests has pointed personal differences.
Well, let's not settle political scores.
It's good to make it clear for the viewers that we are here for the benefit of the young people. Very well. It doesn't matter from which political affiliations I come from. It doesn't matter from where, which part of the country I come from. By the end of the day, we are all elected on the premise of being young people. So I wish my colleagues from Kimilili could have just come here for the sake of young people, not for the sake of Caleb Amisi. Well, very sober thoughts. Yeah, so that was not very, good of him. Well, let's jump straight to your proposal now. It will behave nicely. Yeah.
Your proposal?
So my proposal is one. Let me give you a background. I just come from my friend's Peter Kenneth. We happen to share a high school called Stare.
Yes.
And most of us who've gone to Stare is people who have come from a destitute background. And most of the young people in this country who gets, a problem of trying to get employment, they have had a challenging background. And you've seen even a recent story where there is a boy called Kevin Ocheng, who scored very highly in Maranda. He scored very highly in the university, but he was almost becoming a street urchin. Yeah. Were it not for the, the good heart of a friend who just bumped into him, this guy could be a street urchin, well equipped with A's.
So unemployment is a real problem.
It is a real problem. And myself, I've gone through it. Because of my challenging background, I was able to maneuver through education. I became the best boy in Western Province. I was admitted as Stare Boys on a scholarship. I passed with flying colors. But there is a transition period between Form 4 and university. In our time, nowadays it's a bit flexible. But in our time, we had 2 years of idleness. And I was able to be, absorbed by a school called St. Mark's, where I taught as a untrained teacher. And most of the time, my former schoolmates from primary, they could come and, have consolidate at my place, basically because they did nothing to do. Their parents have, released them to the world. And most of them, actually, they turn to be in other criminal activities.
So it's that inspired you to come up with this proposal?
My background itself has inspired me. I'm a member of parliament in a constituency which is predominantly a Ford Kenya, a Jubilee zone. I'm an ODM person. I was not elected on a tribal basis. I was elected by young people who saw an opportunity to change their life through me. I've been able to interact with many young people, and I've seen their frustrations, I've seen their aspirations, I've seen their hopes in life, and I literally carry the aspirations of young people, because I'm in parliament courtesy of young people. Were it not for the young people who saw the opportunity and the capacity in me to change their life, I will not be in parliament.
Honorable
And
Caleb,
where I come in with my proposal is this one. You've given us statistics a while ago about the number of young people who are one, unemployed, and also the statistics of the people who are below, you know, our constitutional age limit of young people. That is between 18 years and 35 years. That is the constitution. You know, most people come up and say they're young, but constitutionally, a youth is between 18 years and 35 years. But if you talk about young people below 35 years, of course, you may be maybe 80%. But now between 18 and 35 years, you may find maybe you are 30% of our population.
Go ahead.
Which is a huge, population. Now, you find that our economy cannot provide jobs to our youth. There are youths who are suffering outside here. You may be lucky to be, you know, working with Metropol, and you know, you can get transport here and there. But the youth of your age, I can tell you, they are suffering outside there, whether they are from informal sector or a formal sector. My proposal of hardship allowance is not to make youth idle. I want to make it very clear. There is a lot of misunderstanding and misconception about
so let's go step by step. You're proposing a hardship allowance, right?
I'm proposing that after every 4 months that there is already an existing Social Assistance Act. Now, the Social Assistance Act is from Chapter 4 of our Constitution, Article 43, 1E, that says that every person is liable for social assistance from the government, and especially the youth, coupled by 55. You know, if you read that together with Article 55, that says that a youth must be, you know, catered by the government, including affirmative action, which means provision of the employment. The government has not been able to provide employment, of course, due to our economic situation. We cannot force the government to provide employment when it is not there.
So how much are you proposing that the youth should be given?
I propose that after every 4 months, because it's not very easy to give. You remember there is what we call pesa kwa wazee.
Yes.
How does pesa, where in our constitution is pesa for wazee coming from? Where is it anchored? It is anchored under the same act, Social Assistance Act. That's where pesa for wazee come in. Now, youth are classified as vulnerable groups. In our constitution, you talk about women, youth, and the people living with disabilities as vulnerable groups.
Yes.
So why do we focus on youth, on women, and with people living with disabilities, and we forget the youth? And yet all of them are classified as vulnerable groups.
So how much do they get?
I took the vulnerable groups, and I from my own experience, I thought whether if a youth gets 3,000, this youth is able to afford at least a decent living. Maybe it can be paying 2,000 rent, and 1,000 can be able to help him, one, look for a job, or at least even afford a transport. If you are being called for an interview, how do you get a transport? You finished a university here at University of Nairobi. You have nowhere. You've come from Turkana, for example, or Samburu. You have no relative in Nairobi. You've just finished university. University was able to cater for you. You have HELB, you have CDF. You are able to go through university perfectly comfortably. But now, after finishing university, where do you go to? Do you want to go to Samburu? Which job will you get in Samburu? You must maintain your presence in Nairobi where the job opportunities are available. Then how do you survive in Nairobi where you have no relative, you have nowhere to stay, the university has gotten rid of you, you've been released to the world. So if you give this person a stipend of even 3,000, he'll be able to survive in town, he'll be able to afford a transport, he'll be able to look for a job, he'll be able to move from Dandora to Metropol and look for a job. He'll be able to afford a transport as opposed to this young man who was sleeping on the street.
Yeah.
So it is a basic right. It is a basic, minimum basic money that will enable this person to live a decent human life.
Good
Not
point.
because we want to make this person idle, not because we want to give him money, not because we want to make him rich. We want to just enable him to survive like a human being.
Where will that money come from? Because the government has been borrowing to even fund its own budget.
Yes, it is misplaced priority. Number one, we have Uwezo Fund. Why did we come up with the Uwezo Fund? We've had a fund that is basically catering for entrepreneurs. Now, who told you all the youth in Kenya are entrepreneurs? What happens to those footballers? What happens to the musicians? What happens to the artists? What happens to the news anchors like you? Are they going to do business? No. So that is a misplaced priority. Why can't you take this Uwezo Fund, consolidate with Youth Enterprise Fund, consolidate with the World Bank? World Bank has given us almost 2 billion the other day.
Okay.
Yes, it's all going for the Youth Enterprise Fund. And remember, this money is never, I want to see any rich business person who has benefited from Youth Enterprise Fund. Give me one. No. So this money basically has been stolen.
No, good point.
Okay.
And we are talking on social media. Just you've raised a very valid point.
I really do not want you to interrupt me,
no,
because you will not get the point.
Just a minute. You've raised a very valid point. You've said you're yet to see one rich person, one successful person who's become a successful businessman out of those funds. Just so we are fair, we are live on YouTube. We are talking on Twitter at Metropol TVKE, hashtag Metropol Debrief. If you know anyone who's succeeded and their business has done well from government loans and grants, talk to us. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for giving me my ample opportunity to explain. Now, if you take the Youth Enterprise Fund, because you are in a society setup where that every human being has his own capacity. There are people who can just go play football with any club in France and their life is sorted.
Okay.
There are people who will just get to music and their life is sorted. Now, if you give the stipend to this person, is able to maneuver through his way of life and get to success. Okay? So we are not saying that all the youth in this country are entrepreneurs. I mean, the people who are entrepreneurs are maybe a sizable number of youth. So what happens to the rest? So are you getting? So we are not building our economy on the basis of entrepreneurship. If you take the youth fund, you take the Uwezo Fund, you take the World Bank, we have a lot of bilateral and multilateral partners who are able to fund us. They have even funded the Ministry of Youth in programs to do with the youth. If all these funds are consolidated, now, once you consolidate all these funds that have been set aside for the youth, I want you to imagine how much money we could have saved as a nation. We've seen what has happened during the Westgate. We've seen what has happened during the Dusit. We are told most of these people who are bombing us are our fellow youth, our countrymen.
Good point. And just hold on to that thought. I want to come back to it because that's a very valid point you're raising. And Honorable Raila Odinga recently spoke on some of the dangers that could happen if we do not provide the youth with the right opportunities to pursue jobs and be independent. And I like that you've brought up that point. Let's listen into what Honorable Raila Odinga had to say, and then you can pick it up. There you have it. Some of the challenges of not empowering the youth in the community. Honorable Caleb?
At least from the onset, I begged your pardon because I'm having a dry cough, so I'll
Go
keep
ahead.
on coughing.
Have some water.
Yeah. Now, I think the Honorable Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, he really shares my thought that coupled by these funds that are set aside, presumably to cater for the youth, there is the big price we pay as a nation for not catering for the youth.
Yeah.
Number one, these youths who are idle, that are educated, they become a good fertile ground for Al-Shabaab, ISIS, and other organized groups to tap into them.
Okay.
Because they love youths who are educated, they are sharp, they are idle, and they are broke.
Which means they are vulnerable.
They are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Very good. They are vulnerable. Now, if these youths, they have found that the government do not cater for them, they feel excluded from the government. If an organized groups like Al-Shabaab and external criminal organizations come and entice them, they feel that in any case, this government do not provide for me employment. In any case, this government has excluded the youth. So be it. Let me join as long as I can afford a meal, as long as I can afford something to even take my girlfriend out. Let me join this group. I'll be able to take a girlfriend out. I'll be able to come up. And they are the same youth will come and bomb you as a country. How much money will you use as a country to salvage yourself out of that, mischievous happening from your very own youth? Okay?
Yeah.
You want to mitigate that against the amount of money you can save. All this money we think we are saving is the same money we use to fight Al-Shabaab. So if this money, that if we are able to cater for the youth who are, the very youth who are joining Al-Shabaab, if we are able to cater for these youth, in any case, we'll now avoid all this money we are using as a nation to go and fight Al-Shabaab. So how much money, the question comes to you is, how much money do we use to fight criminal activities in this country? Criminal activities that are perpetrated by our very own youth, who are not being able to be catered for the government. Now, if a youth is being given 3,000 a month by the government, trust me, that one single youth will never raise his hand or his arm against his own people.
Yeah.
Because he knows at the end of the day, I've been taken care of by the government. Now, this is not a very unfamiliar proposal. It has happened in most countries. Australia. The other day, I was speaking to my friend from Australia. He has graduated. We were in the same class at Stare. He went to Australia. He came back. I asked him, why have you not gotten a girlfriend? He said, how can I be able to afford a girlfriend in Australia? We are in the same class. We graduate together. But this girlfriend immediately graduates. The government is able to give her a loan to take care, even to buy a car, and is able to tarmac inside the car. Now here you are, me, a student from Kenya. How do I even start vibing this girl who has a car provided by his own government? So I cannot afford an Australian girlfriend.
Well,
so the thing is that Australia is 17 times our GDP.
Yeah.
Now, if you are going to say that, why not provide solutions to create employment?
Yeah.
Really, if Australia is 17 times our GDP,
and it still has
an employment problem. So unemployment is not tied to the economic performance of a country. Employment will always be there, whether you are performing well, whether you are a third country, whether you are a first country, whether you are a US citizen, employment is still there. But how can a government mitigate the employment, whatever rates in that country against the social vice that is caused by lack of taking care of unemployed youth?
Hold on to that thought. We have to really move this conversation along, and I want us to now go very quickly. We have a voice comment, rather a call from one of our viewers, and he had very interesting sentiments, because you've just been saying you go to school, you have a degree, you got good grades in high school, but after school, it really breaks your heart. And this caller who's calling in, his name is Sylvester. He has very interesting insights. Let's listening. Will always be there. We need to find ways of helping people create employment, not for themselves, but for other people.
Let me create a very misconceived notion among our youth.
Yes.
They keep on asking me, even when I introduce this bill, they ask me, why can't you find a ways of creating jobs? So has he find a way of creating a jobs? Let us not keep on asking ourselves things that are not possible. Let us do things that are possible. You keep on saying, create ways of making jobs. Then why can't you create yourself if you think it's possible? America cannot do it. UK cannot do it. Canada cannot do it. China cannot do it. So who are you?
Allow me to play devil's advocate.
Yes.
But when they're being given the stipend allowance, where they're being given 3,000, they're being given this money to sustain themselves in order to look for jobs, as you've put it yourself.
Why do we give Wazee a monthly stipend every month?
Because one, we are Africans, it's part of our culture. Two, they need to sustain themselves. They cannot work.
You've answered yourself. They need to sustain yourself.
They
Failure to which, you know, we have a constitution that says respect to humanity. It is anchored in our constitution, chapter 1.
But what's the essence of going to school and laboring in school if you cannot work at the end of the day?
You see, now we are living to the reality. You have a person who have gone through the school, and Kenya does not exist in a vacuum. All countries have problems with unemployment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Employment does not come from heaven like manna. It is about the economy. There are countries that have almost zero, close to zero, like the Scandinavian country, Norway. You go to Norway, you'll find people asking, who can I employ? That is their scenario. You know, maybe their population vis-a-vis the economy, you know, they are synchronized. But now we have other countries where employment is a problem. It is not tied to the performance of your economy. I gave you a good example of US. Are you telling me US has been a superpower? It has zero
unemployment. But ever since Donald Trump got into office, it has been reported that more jobs have been created in the United States.
So how are jobs being created? Jobs are being created in an economy through industrialization and trade. The more industries are developed, the more production is developed, the more there is a lot of wealth creation, the more you create jobs.
Well, you just answered
now,
that, gentlemen.
that is vis-a-vis to the population.
Okay.
You cannot create jobs, you can create jobs according to the number of people available. What if the number of people available are more than, so the more you create, even if you create millions of jobs, and there are trillions, millions of people want those jobs, there will still be unemployment. So the question of creating, finding a way of, you know, creating employment, it is not, it's not viable. It is about now humanity. Look, really, this person does not have an employment. Is a human being like me. I'm the government. He is in Kenya, is a Kenyan citizen. Do we leave him go to the street to cause chaos for the country, to cause insecurity, because you are unable to you know, to provide an employment for him? Because we are unable. So do we leave him just like that, or do we, as courtesy, say, you, because you earn a few coins, can we contribute little by little to take care of the people who are not able to enjoy the same privilege the way we are? It is a matter of humanity.
Let's bring another voice into this conversation. And Lorna Felix had a very interesting comment on Facebook. If you could just have it on the screen. He had very interesting sentiments he had to say about unemployment in the country with regards to the Kenyan youth. Well, the comment is incoming in your screens right now. It was a comment we got from Facebook, and we've been engaging you guys on social media. There you have it. You can't tell young people to start their own businesses in an economy where 76% of startups die in the second year. Government will not, sorry about that, government will not be forced to make training people. Sorry, I cannot see. The screen is a little bit far. But that's what you have on the screen. He's just saying we cannot force everyone into entrepreneurship. One gentleman is saying, let's create jobs, right? Another one is saying, stop pushing us into entrepreneurship. Your 2 cents?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where I started. That you are setting money specifically for entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? Business. So how does business strive? Is there, what is the business you are going to do? If you are saying you are going to open, say, avocado selling, where is the market? Who is going to buy? So it is all,
so should it also go to the government to kind of empower the people and the whole Kenyan population so that the purchasing power of Kenyans is high, so that, because we cannot extremely rule out entrepreneurship, it can solve some problems, but we need to ensure that Kenyans can buy what the youth are trying to sell.
You know what you are saying is like you are in a homestead where you are used to taking skuma wiki with ugali and the children are tired. They are saying, the mom, can you try to look for meat for us?
Well,
I mean, I'm just not able.
Meat has a lot of sodium of late, so...
You see, I'm not just able.
Yeah.
So, what do we do?
But if the government, this is a very funny scenario, because if the government says it's unable, why is it in office? Make way for somebody else who has solutions.
And I've told you, it's not just the Kenyan government, it is the globe.
But Kenya's situation is becoming dire and dire every single day.
And that's why I've given a solution to the Kenyan problem, because I know the Kenyan problem is dire. Why?
But isn't that a band-aid solution?
Do we keep on asking ourselves that we have bad leadership? They are in the office, so will you remove them? They are there. So why don't you bring measures to take care of our young people while the bad leaders are in the office? Because they'll not get out. They are there. You've elected them. My point is not what the normal, you are building castles in the air. You are talking about things that cannot happen. But I'm trying to be realistic. I'm saying, come on. We don't keep on telling us create job, because you've said this for the last, since I was born. Now there are no jobs. Until me myself, I created my own job. I went to actually look for to be an MP. I've created my own job.
That was a job that was there before. The people who held
but you try creating that job again. You go home and try vying for an MP. You see? So that's the thing. It's not everybody who can do that. So what happens to those people who cannot?
The thing is, it is an office that pre-existed before you, and even after you, inshallah, you could get re-elected or not. It's an office that is there. But should you not get re-elected, then you're back to square one.
So what happens to those people who are not able to be elected?
But they cannot survive on a 3,000 monthly stipend for the rest of their lives.
So what else do you want to give them?
Something has to change along the way. The 3,000 can sustain them.
Then why don't you change that thing?
You're in the government.
Me have given my way. So you attack my suggestion by giving your alternative, your alternative solution that works. Tell me, Caleb, this one, stop. I have this one. Don't accuse my suggestion, and you are not giving an alternative.
I'm not accusing your suggestion. I'm saying it's a good suggestion to sustain, but we need a long-term solution.
So then provide the long-term solution.
Well, the colleague of yours who was supposed to come, he has this bill amending the Employment Act of 2007 and saying let there be mandatory internship program for all graduates so that employers can absorb at least 5%.
So let me ask you, what is internship?
You tell me.
You are the one who have said internship. Did you hear me say about anything about internship?
Well, internship is a period of time where when you're out of school or when you're still in school, you're absorbed by an organization to gain practical experience. However...
To do what?
To gain practical experience.
Doing what? How do you gain practical experience? By working?
Yes.
So where is that job opportunity? If I'm able to get practical experience by working and being paid, it means there is a job.
Yeah.
Okay? So If there is a job, why do you want to call internship? You see, we are talking about unemployment, lack of jobs. Then you are telling me.
One of the causes of unemployment.
That's why I really want.
Caleb?
No. I really want to be. You know, I come from an area that is a half slum, a half rural. I'm the only member of parliament who is a rural constituency member of parliament, but at the same time there is a slum, a very big slum, and I interact with youth on a daily basis. Youths who are calling me every day, youths who have nothing to do, they wish they will have something to do. So when somebody wake up one day and just start imagining things, you are not being realistic. You are saying internship. If there are internship, I'm telling you there are a number of youths who are able to do that internship without asking for a pay. Are you getting? Forget about paid internship. They really want to do internship without getting paid.
So the bill
and there are no internships.
So the bill is contradictory.
Yeah, there are no internship in the first place. They don't want to be paid. They want that internship without being paid, and there is no internship. So when you wake up and say, I want paid internship, when there are no internship in the first place, who are you fooling? So I don't want these people, these young guys who are pretending to be solving the youth problem. And that's why the member of parliament for Kimini feared to come and face me, because it's bogus. He just wants to be for publicity stand. Well, we are not here to make people love us. We are here to provide solution for the youth.
Okay.
So that we leave a legacy for the young people, not to just make them happy. When things are not there, it's not realistic. Okay. It's not something that exists. Yeah, it's not there. Even if you say, I want to give them 1 million for internship, when they are not there, there are no internship in the first place. There are no jobs. We are talking about unemployment.
My director is saying we are almost running out of time. There is a very interesting also comment from Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. I don't know if we could have it. It's just in line with what we are discussing. And he had also a very harsh, truthful stand to tell the youth. Do we have it? That's where we will wind up this segment. There you go. It goes to say, the first thing you need to do as a graduate is to separate yourself from that notion of, rather, sense of entitlement, thinking that you deserve a job. There are no jobs. And he goes on and on to say, graduates should not...
Is actually,
so you agree with Dr. Alfred? Dr. Ezekiel?
He's the one who is agreeing with me. I've just said there are no jobs, there are no internship. Then you are talking about when you
talk
about paid internship, then just say paid job.
Yeah.
Because you are looking for job, you're not looking for internship. Just say paid job.
But to play devil's advocate, so many people have been turned down from job opportunities because they do not have experience. We all know when you're fresh from school, they tell you, do you have experience? You don't have any.
So can you give us those jobs? You know, most of you argue out of one, rumors, propaganda, innuendos.
I have that
Can you tell me, can you give me that this company, this, let's say, BAT, has 2,000 job opportunity. They have really announced, and there are no person whatsoever in this country who can fit to work there. Why? Because he lacks job experience. Can you give me those statistics?
Well, I am not speaking from nowhere. That bill was sent to us. No. I want to read out part of that bill by your colleague from Kiminini constituency, Kimilili rather, and it goes on to say the draft will seek to amend the Employment Act 2007 by introducing a new section after section 76 to require that every employer, sorry, I have to read from my phone, that every employer who employs more than 50 employees provide internship programs to diploma, undergraduate and postgraduate qualifications with a monthly stipend of at least 20,000 Kenya shillings.
So who is an employer? An employer is a person who has job opportunity.
Sorry.
An employer is a person, like for example, Kenya Tea Factory, Coffee Board of whatever, Maize Factory, another factory, that is an employer. So an employer is a person who has an opportunity. But you are saying there are no there is no such opportunities.
Well, hold on to that thought.
Are you getting?
Hold on to it.
We are lacking the jobs.
Caleb,
we are lacking the opportunity to get employed. Then you are saying, go get paid to be employed.
Okay.
Who is fooling who?
Hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. We want to take a very short breather. When we come back, you know, this is all about you, because unemployment is a very touchy subject. Caleb is getting really passionate. You guys are blowing up our Twitter. We are having a very interesting conversation with you. Our digital team is engaging you. When we come back, it's time for Social Watch, but we will begin in the streets of Nairobi, where we were there and we were talking to you about politics, employment, and if they favor the Kenyan youth. Stay with Metropol Debrief.